Hey now. Um, yeah, so I just got my first subscriber.
Oh, wow.
Um, I know. I'm moving up there, man. No, it's honestly it's not really a big accomplishment. My friend asked me what I was busy doing and what I had been up to, and when I told him, I shared with him my channel name, and he subscribed. He didn't watch any of my content, and I don't blame him. Why would he want to watch my content? He sees my face a lot, so there's no point in watching me if you already see me in person all the time. Um, but yeah, so about a month ago, a few weeks ago, I just want to share this story. Um, I went to a wedding of one of my old college friends, so I hadn't seen him about 8 or 9 years. And at the wedding, the chance to see a lot of other old friends from college. Now some of them I had stayed in close contact with, but a lot of them were just closer friends of my friend. And so there were people that I had remembered from my college years, but I didn't stay in contact with them after, even though we had shared some of the same classes and all that. I had several groups of different friends, like different friend groups in college. So the friend here that was whose wedding it was, I was very close to him in college, but I wasn't necessarily close to all the friends in his friend group. But anyways, I still knew them. We had a lot of great memories, and we all remembered each other, and we talked about some of those memories. And so when I was there was about seven of those people from my college years, and they were all guys. And what was interesting was that they were all married. So some of them got married to their college sweethearts. Some of them got married pretty soon after graduation. And what I thought was interesting now was that for many of them either my age or mid 30s or closer to 40, they now were focused on the family life, and a lot of them had their wives staying at the house to take care of the kids. And so this was something that they had decided together. They had asked their wives to stay at the house, to focus on taking care of the kids while they went and they provided for the family. And I thought it was admirable. I thought it was like, wow, okay, that's they're very focused on the family life. They want to provide, they want to sacrifice, they want to do what they can to really provide for not only their wife but now their kids. And I guess it's more the conservative, viewpoint. But there was this other viewpoint, which I guess maybe on the more liberal side. Again, I'm not trying to get political, but I was just trying to understand this. Was for I could understand for a woman entering into a relationship how she would want to continue working even while she's married, and even if she has kids, right? Because if something happens in the marriage, like, I don't know, the guy ends up cheating on her, or the love just dies out, or whatever, maybe he turns out to be abusive, and so she has to get out of there. It could be good for her if she hasn't left the workforce, if she's still working and has the experience on her resume, and so she could still be independent and not have to rely now on, I don't know, alimony or whatever. I don't know how it plays out. I don't know anything about that, but whatever it is that she would have to depend on if she was to have to exit the relationship. And so I can understand that perspective. Like, why would these women want to quit their jobs? Why would they only want to focus on the family if they also need to be able to look out for themselves and be independent and provide, in case something like that were to happen? So two perspectives. And what it made me wonder is because I've been having a lot of questions lately in my life about relationships and committing and getting married, and I'm not in a rush to do it. But what I do wonder is, okay, if you're a woman and your viewpoint is like, hey, I'm going to go into the relationship, but I'm not going to fully depend on this guy. I'm not going to like fully believe that he's going to want to sacrifice for me and for the family. Is that kind of like still having like a hand out the door? Like, you're in the relationship, but I don't know, your hand's still like exiting through the door. And same, I think if you're a guy and you enter the relationship and you're like, okay, well, I got to get her to sign a prenup. I got to protect these assets. I need to make sure that maybe I put these assets here, so in case there's a divorce, like, she doesn't have access to this, or this doesn't come into the divorce. I don't know. You have gold bars in Sweden. I don't know what the trick is. For a guy, that also seems like you're also having a hand kind of out the door in the relationship. So it's like, so do both parties, is that the right thing to do? Is like, do you take that, do you really risk it? Do you really take the chance? Do you really enter into a marriage like, just, I don't know, like head over heels, optimistic, going, hey, this is going to work out. Like, I just believe in this person. I love this person. And I think that no matter what, we're going to be through it together. Just like the vows say, like the marriage vows that you have to make, like, all the way till death, that we're going to be together and stick it out, even the harsh and difficult times. And, I don't know, maybe it's a narrative now that's starting to change, that people are like, hey, I don't think that's true. I don't think people can really make it through the hard. I'm not saying this in my belief. I'm just saying that maybe people are starting to think that, hey, I don't think we'll make it through the rough and difficult times together. So let's protect each other. Let's protect ourselves in the relationship. But at the same time, I'm thinking, like, wouldn't it be better to enter the relationship like optimistically? Like, I don't know, can you really make something like that work if you're not going to be enthusiastic and you're not going to kind of be blinded with optimism? It just seems like a lot of things in life like that, you need to kind of have that sort of sense in order to succeed. Not just necessarily marriages, but maybe other parts of life. And so I do wonder, like, okay, well, what's the right approach to this? What's the right way of going about it? And look, I've never been married. I'm not married, so might be easy for me to be on this side analyzing everything. But maybe once you're in the marriage, or once you found the person that you're head over heels for and that you want to commit to, maybe there's just no question about it. You just know that, hey, that's what I got to do. That's what I'm going to go in for. And I'm going to be as optimistic as possible, and I'm not going to doubt anything. Otherwise, just, gosh, that seems so dark, right? Like, oh no, what if she cheats on me? All right, got to be prepared. I love her, want to marry her, but I could see her also cheating on me. Like, I could see her going with other guys. Doesn't really sound like you'd want to enter that relationship. I don't know. But so yeah, I think for my friends, it was interesting just to see that, to be on the outside and seeing their lives now, what it's kind of turned into. And they're all really mature guys. Like, it was just like their perspective was so, I guess it was like you're around this group of guys that just, they seem to have things in order. And really, I don't know what's happening all in the background, right? Like, they're probably not sharing everything with me, of course. But from the outside looking in, like, I mean, definitely seemed like a lot more ordered than I would say my life. Definitely, for sure. I mean, for one, none of them are living in a studio apartment. Again, I'm in the studio recording. So, yeah, I will say, as part of my personality and part of the side of who I am, I've always kind of really liked the unfiltered, kind of edgy humor, like the stuff where you kind of, even the dark humor where you kind of you go into topics that otherwise you wouldn't really want to talk about or joke about, but then maybe sometimes, you're willing to go into it and even put it like a twist of, I don't know, of comedy into it. And those raunchy subjects. And I don't shy away from subjects that I think a lot of people would feel uncomfortable sometimes talking about. And it's just been the way that I've always been. Like, for example, I noticed this starting in high school. Because again, in high school, I was listening to the Love Show by Dr. Drew. And so, every night I would tune in, or whenever they had the show, I can't remember the schedule, but I would tune into the radio and listen to it in my room. So I wouldn't play video games or I wouldn't watch TV. I would lay down and listen to that radio show, because I thought the stories were so intriguing that people would share. But in high school, I remember in my art class, we had this teacher. She was a bit older, a little crazy, not all there. And I remember that my peers in class they were getting all wild and rowdy, and they were getting into this subject of whether it was possible for a man to pee while having an erection. And so they were all laughing about this and getting into it. And the teacher, instead of just like telling the kids to quiet down or keep it down, she like interjected and told the kids like kind of with like an angry tone, or like to try to educate them and tell them, what they were talking about was silly. She was like, no, it's possible. Okay. My husband peed in me during intercourse, so you can pee while having an erection. Now you can imagine all the kids in high school. I'm remembering, they all went rowdy. I mean, like jumping on the walls, going crazy, going nuts. It's like, oh man, she shouldn't have said that. So they're just going wild. And meanwhile, I'm there sitting down like this, and I go, okay, tell me more. I'm ready to like do like an interview like Dr. Drew style, like making it like the Love Show there. I'm like, all right, I want to hear more details about this. All right. My ears perked up. I'm like, all right, sex subject. Okay, cool. You just shared some details. I want to hear more. Let's talk about this. And that's always kind of been me, even today as an adult. And I think I view like my friends at the wedding, or some of the work colleagues I've had, and other people I know, it's like at my age or older, like a lot of people kind of let that sort of humor go. They seem to be like, no, man, it's undeveloped, or, that sort of humor is just, it's not mature. It's not something I get into. It's not something I talk about. And right, you have to respect it. It's like, oh, okay. It's just it's a differing perspective. And so, I've know plenty of people that don't like that sort of edgy and unfiltered humor. And I do. And so maybe perhaps I'm still a little bit immature, maybe because I haven't been stressed in life. And I mean, I have had stress, obviously, but I'm saying that haven't had any stress of like having to take care of a family, or like raising a kid, or taking care of a partner. And so maybe, I don't know, maybe being a single guy at my age, it's still easy to kind of be the type of person that laughs, I don't know, at a fart, or a fart joke, or a sex joke, or a sex story. And these things kind of always intrigue me or make me laugh. And and I tried cleaning up my act once. I remember I joined a church. This was years ago. I joined this church, and I was like, okay, probably it would help clean up my act if, from my joking and all this, or the way I perceive that, or the things I perceive to be funny might clean it up if I join a church. And one of my friends who I'm still friends with, he's a Christian. And I don't want to say devout Christian, but he's a pretty strong Christian. But he's always been one of my good friends. And so I joined his church, joined the men's group that he was a part of. And man, I could just tell you, I remember feeling out of place like so many times in that group. I'll give you an example. I remember the Deadpool movie. So Deadpool had just recently come out, and I went to go see it. So then the weekend after, when I'm meeting up at the men's group, we're all talking about what we did during the week. And I talked about how I went to go see the Deadpool movie, and I was like excited to talk about it. I was like, what a great movie. I mean, it's still one of my favorite action superhero movies of all time. And so I'm talking about it, and the room just gets quiet, and the group leaders, they don't say anything. They don't ask me anything. They just go in a very serious tone. They're like, yeah, we don't watch movies like that, especially if there's sex scenes. So we don't watch any of that. And I was like, oh, okay, like, sorry. I didn't mean to get into that. But there was so many moments like that at the church. And I just remember after, like, I had been there like 6 months to 8 months, but it was like 6 months in the men's group, and I think like 8 months at the church, because it took me a couple months before I joined the men's group. But I ended up leaving because I felt bored. I didn't really feel inspired to change my act up in any way, or to be any different. I just felt like I was in this group that I didn't really fit in with. And so, I told my friend, like, hey man, I'm not going to go to the meetups anymore. And he was like, oh, okay, it's cool, man. Not a problem. And of course that didn't affect our friendship, because we still hang out. But I just stopped going to the men's group. And I even remember at the church, like the church events, so they had events for the young people to mingle, but they would observe the people, because they had a lot of single girls. And so what they did was they would really observe the men. And there was a lot of watch on the guys, so there couldn't be like just new guys showing up just to attend the event. So you had to already be a part of a group, kind of vouched for, and then you could attend these events. And I just remember going and meeting like the other single people, and I could feel like this barrier block where I was like, yeah, I don't think I would be able to go really far with any of these girls. Just seemed like in a lot of ways we were too different. We would have like a church prayer before the start of the singles events. And so there would be guys just going like sha la 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 like during the prayer, and I was like, gosh, man, I was like so annoying for me to hear this person like just like doing this like rant, what they call is like speaking in tongue, right? Which I know in my belief, I'm like, dude, you're not speaking in tongue, you're just making that up. And but again, to a lot of the people there, they would go, no, he really speaks in tongue. Like when he prays, like when he prays, God is really speaking through him. I'm like, okay, come on, man. Like, this is an act, right? Like, cut the act out. But like the way I was thinking, or my thoughts, it just didn't have me as a good fit for probably a long-term relationship with any of those girls. And I even remember one of the girls I was talking to there in the group, in the singles events, because there was various. And I remember I was talking to this girl once, and then she just told me, she's like, yeah, I just, I had to report this guy recently because, and I was like, oh, whoa, what did this guy do? Like, what did you report him for? And she was like, yeah, well, he shook my hand, and when he shook my hand, I got this like really strange sense. Like he shook my hand really, really oddly, or odd. I don't know how to say it. He shook my hand in an odd manner, and I didn't feel comfortable with it, so I had to report him. And the guy got kicked out. She had told me who the guy was, described him, because I didn't know him by name. And I was like, oh, okay. And yeah, and of course when I was talking to her, I was like, oh, no way. But in my head, I was like, what? I was like, all right, hold on. Is there a way to shake hands with Ryan? Like, how do you do it? Because now I was in my head. I was like, well, I don't want to get kicked out for being a creep. Because it would just, that would put your spirits down. But I was like, now I'm wondering if I shake hands like a creep, because now this guy got reported and kicked out for shaking the girl's hand in a strange manner. But yeah, the church was very protective with their women, and rightfully so. And so I just think it's funny when now as a single guy, a lot of friends that are Christian and a lot of people, even too, family, extended family, all that stuff, and they're like, you're still single? Well, if you join a church, you can find yourself a good girl. And I just think back to my experience when I joined the church, and I'm like, I tried it. I just wasn't one of the group, so wasn't one of them, right? So I don't know if really that would work out for me. But I get it. It's a polite comment. It also just seems weird that you would join the church just for the girls, like God is second. I'm here for the girls. If I find a girl, then I'll convert. If not, find a different religion where I can maybe find some girls there. But all this just to tell you, I guess, kind of to where I started about this whole wedding. I'm hoping that if I do find a relationship and I find someone I'm really into and attracted, that it's someone that kind of, of course, I would hope accepts me for these sort of ways I have with my humor and my interests, and wouldn't be someone that tries to, like, I don't know, filter me out or tries to tell me like how to mature or change my behavior. And of course, like, I know that I would expect that some partner is going to tell you some things that need to change. But I always just kind of think now at this point in my life that I think this part of my humor and my interest is something that's not really going to change. I think there's other aspects of myself that I can change and other things I can work on. But it's like, yeah, look, I like a good, sex story or unfiltered sex story with some curse words and I don't know, some details that maybe others might find gross, but hey, I find it interesting. All right. I don't know. Call me a heathen, whatever you want to say. Just come to realize that that's part of who I am, and I don't think it's an interest that's changing. So I think with my friends, I do wonder if I'll change to be a much more conservative person once I find someone and start a family, or hey, if that never happens in my life, maybe I don't know, maybe I'll just be the single guy that can kind of hold a more liberal perspective, perspective towards more the individual and sort of question these things because I'm not actually in it. So anyways, just wanted to share that. That's my episode for today. I hope you enjoyed it. It's just a story. I'll be sharing more stories with you, and I'll have more thoughts, random thoughts, short little stories. Some will be kind of embarrassing, and some, just boring stories maybe. Or maybe you'll find them interesting. I don't know. But anyways, thanks again. This was episode 4, and again, hope to see you again soon. All right, later.